Yo, what's up, guys? My name is Philip Jean-Marie. I play Matt Cooper, Power Rangers Wild Force. You're watching Action Activate.
Programs, it is I, Gazbot, for Action Activate. And if I'm Gazbot and this is Action Activate, well then with me as always. It is
the big dog for your regularly scheduled Action Activate. We've been obviously posting a lot more recently, but a little more off the wall than some are used to.
Blasting real life, you and me together, you at Morphicon, all kind. I've been putting up bloopers, buying just almost every day. We had one up for like 2 weeks. That's done. We're not doing that anymore. We might, I'm not against trying to get up more than one a week, but just one a week is what we aim for.
Yeah, that's our goal. But
we're here. Oh, good.
Oh, I was gonna say, but one thing since we have sat down here is since then we've had a lot more new faces show up in that subscriber box. So thank you all so much for those who are now regular subscribers watching.
We've at least doubled, if not more, at this point, and some of our videos have gotten like way more views than we normally do, and it's Morphicon and the work you've done and the videos going up and everybody, it's done a really good job. So we're going to talk about episode 12, season 2, Dino Fury in a second, but we're doing a giveaway, which I teased. The idea was at 50 subscribers, I would say what it was, and I did, and I said, hey, we got 50 subscribers. So it is actually, oh, look at that. I think it's it's not the Morphicon shirt I have on. It's a different year of Morphicon.
Yeah. You're wearing 2016. That one's 2018.
Right. So we're giving that away at 100 subscribers. And
what size is that?
I believe it's extra large. Let me double check.
There you go.
Regular large.
There you go. For those wondering.
I thought I said it before, but just in case. Then at 100, I said I would announce another, and the winner could pick between the two. So then I said a sealed Lightning Collection King Sphinx, which I have one of my own. This is a duplicate. I got on sale recently. We've pooped all over this thing because of the lack of paint. I still think it needs more paint. It needs black in the mouth and a little bit of a wash for sure. But having opened it and put it on my shelf and played with it, it is way better than I thought it was. Way, way better. Now, we're at over 100. So the giveaway is going. I said I'd give it a week, so I'm going to give it a few more days, and then we're going to do random. But one thing I realized, which I didn't even talk to you, Big Dog, the idea was everybody who's a subscriber, I put them in a list and randomize the number. Anybody who commented on that video, not this one. You can comment on this video, but go find the giveaway one. You comment on there, you get a second entry. But, and that's all true, and that's still going. But one thing I didn't realize, because I'd never tried to do this before, I can't see all of our subscribers. If you have it hidden, I can't see it. And a lot of people have it hidden, because when I last checked, even though we have over 100 subscribers, only like 30-something were showing up.
Wow.
So the bad news is, if you don't have public subscription, I don't know that you're a subscriber, and I can't put you in the contest. So public it or put a comment down below and you at least get one entry. But the good news is, for the people that I can see and that have entered, your chances just got way better, because instead of going against 100 and something people, you're going against like 30 or 40 people. But because I feel a little bit bad that kind of is a little wonky, I'm throwing a third prize in. This is some of my art. This is a print of Mighty Morphin Pink Ranger. So whoever wins at 100, you get your pick of either one of these, and I'll throw in the pink print as well. So that's what's going on with that. But you have to be a subscriber to be that I could see to be entered, and then if you comment on that video, you get a second entry. That's how. And free postage. You don't owe us anything.
Yeah, and one less person in the pool, because the big dog is a subscriber, but not winning either.
Similarly, Nerdbot Studios is a subscriber. We're not going to give it to them. They're a company. Anybody, friends, family, companies, they're ineligible. So this first one, you got a really good chance of winning. And then every 50 people, I'm going to add another prize. And then every 100 people, you get to pick a prize. So it'll like be a ever increasing pot to choose from. Yes.
So we're recording this on Labor Day, September 5th.
Yes.
When are you capping for those that want to be a new subscriber, finally jump in, or leaving a comment on the old video after seeing this? Like what's kind of the date you have in mind?
I'm gonna take a look to see when I posted that video, because I did say a week, so it has to be at least.
I want to say it was like Saturday, right?
Hold on, that sounds right, but I'm trying to look it up. When in doubt, it will be at least a week. Oh, here it goes. 2 days ago. So I put it up the 2nd. No, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, the 9th. The 9th at midnight or whenever I go to bed or whatever. I'll probably cap at the 9th and either pick someone the 9th or the 10th. So there's a little bit of wiggle room there, but if you're in by the 9th, during the day you're good. After that, you might not be good.
So when in doubt, just do it quick. Do it now. While you're already on this video, just click. Just do it right now.
Here's the thing. If you're watching this much later and that deadline is passed, I'll say until we get to 1,000. Until we get to 1,000 subscribers, I will keep doing this. So every 100, you have another chance. So if you miss this one, still subscribe, and then maybe you get the next one. So there you go.
And if you're watching this and we're in the 5 mil range, thank you for going back deep in the archives and watching one of these deep cuts.
We're in the 5 mil range. All right, well, let's talk about Dino Fury Season 2, Part 2, which has not been released in America, but the first 2 episodes were released in Canada and maybe the UK, and there's this crazy schedule. They're flying all over the world. A friend of the show, who I don't know if I should name.
Nah, I wouldn't. I would keep them anonymous, but thumbs up to you, person.
Thumbs up to you. If you want to be named, let's say it in the comments, and we'll shout you out, but I don't want to get you in trouble. Give us a link to this file so that we can review it with you now here.
To be extra clear,
yes.
We are not the ones breaking this. We are not distributing anything. We have simply viewed an episode that has aired in the world.
And there are people that viewed this weeks ago. So it's like, what I suggest is, like people often talk about, like, get it how you have to get it to avoid spoilers. Then when it comes on Netflix, play it on Netflix. Or when it comes on DVD, buy it on DVD. Or whatever way you would normally consume it legally and monetarily, do that. And that's what I do. I'll let it play in the background while I'm doing other stuff, So, but here we go. So this is the first new Oh, yeah, I'm just going to get us a copyright strike right off the bat, huh?
Yeah.
This is the first new episode to air in a little while, months even.
So I vote we put it on the 2 of us, and we occasionally do little snippets.
Okay. I'm gonna let it go
because I think that's more interesting to see than that grid.
Yeah. I agree, but I've heard mixed things from.
There's a lot of force. I don't want to go to battle, but the grid right now needs to be pushed to the side.
It occurs to me. I started this by saying greetings programs were just from Tron, and
nice.
Flynn always talked about the grid. So there's kind of like a symbiosis there.
There is, but before we officially dive in, we need to give our initial thoughts. What are yours?
I started off like, oh, and then it got better as it went on. That's my initial thought. Not the worst episode by any means, not the best episode by any means, but I liked it better the longer it went.
I like the ideas in this episode better than the episode itself, but I like the foundation that is being laid. And through the trailer we've seen, we know that this is going to be not kind of like, oh, some stuff happened, then we'll maybe talk about it later. I don't know. Like, everything is building, is what I've learned.
Yeah. And that, what I was going to say is, a lot of how I feel about this episode, I feel like we've said this before, is going to depend on what comes next episode and next episode. Like, if there's a lot of setup, and if this all pays off, then this is a good episode. But if it doesn't really pay off, then this is a worse episode. Because then it's there's the obvious stuff. I mean, we're going to jump around a little bit. This ultimate mystery is what it's called. It starts off with the whole, I want to say Poppy, but that's not his name. What's his name?
Pop.
Like from Community. Did you watch Community?
I did not.
All right, well then never mind. But for those of you that did,
5 seasons in a movie.
You can't not watch it and then say that. What? Go watch Community.
Anyways,
we start with Pop, and they're interviewing him for the site he used to work at, which is the base of the villains now. Not the worst, slapstick schlocky gag we've ever seen. I prefer Pop to Jane and Jayborg typically,
Yeah.
as far as the hijinks. But it was not a great way to start, especially, and again, they don't necessarily know where this falls, but coming back after all this, oh, finally, here we go. And it's like, oh, Pop and his antics. This is how we're going to start. So it wasn't the worst comedy bit ever, but I was very much like, I don't care about this.
Same. What I noticed in this kind of part of the episode that carried on throughout is it felt very low energy, considering they're trying to make it like this big physical comedy thing. And then I realized the entire episode is low energy.
I agree. It's not low energy. That's a really good observation, because I was thinking it's not slow exactly.
Like everybody just kind of talks like this, regardless of what's going on.
Yeah, it is a bit low energy, especially for some of the stuff that comes up later. Like you would think, and also, yeah, this comedy bit, it's like what, 2 minutes long roughly, and then
I hated it.
Yeah, it's 2 minutes long. It feels longer.
Yeah, it feels like 5.
And I did have the thought these blueberries look gigantic.
They are. They look enormous.
Yeah, and they address that later, which I appreciate. But yeah.
But the one thing I will like in terms of overarching story, I like that. What do? Work for a company. What are they doing? Working. What are they doing? They are talking to the boss at the company. Like, okay, thank you.
Yes, Jane and Jayborg. I mean, Jayborg was just there, but Jane was being a boss, and and I also like that Hunter Deno's character, whose name is Amelia, is talking to these two new characters, which could be Rangers based on the way they dress. Yeah. And she clearly has an air of like, I'm a senior. I've been here before. I ran things for a day, like not in a jerky kind of way, but like, oh yeah, you guys can kind of help me out here. And like, I like that there's that progression too. What I don't like is the moral part of it, like the C plot, I guess you'd call it, of like, I bend the rules, and that's why I'm a good reporter. And they're like, we need to bend the rules too. It didn't bother me that much, because it was a small part of it. It was sort of introduced, and then at the end, she's like, sorry, I did that. But it was a weird rule. It was a weird moral lesson, because I feel like there's plenty of times where it's like, hey, you break the rules and bad things happen, and here's why you follow the rules. You know, like don't go through that gate, or you're going to fall down that pit, or don't do this, or that kid will get hurt. Or like, this was sort of a vague kind of like, you should do what your boss says. It's like, really, always? That's a job. And bending the rules, it's not even like she's like, oh, I took more than my share of food at the lunch table, or I parked where I shouldn't have parked, and then, the person with the disability was put. No, it was like, she told me to work on this story, and I decided to follow my instincts and work on another one. That's kind of what a reporter is. And that's, you're not even like, you're not. And so they did the same thing, and they're like, oh, we're going to follow up on a lead we like. And it happened to be one that ended up being dangerous. But again, that's what being a reporter.
Yeah,
she never said, "Hey, bend the rules and go like do this." Like it was just weird. And then she really apologized profusely, and I'm like, "This is a weird lesson."
I got through this part very just shrug. Like first part shrug, this part shrug. Appreciated Jane not being a bumbling idiot.
Yes, yeah, she was a boss.
Had them talk, shrug. Then when they're back to base, it went, all right.
Yes. Yeah, well, and this part didn't bother me that much. I only bring it up because at the end, they literally go like, so what have we learned? It's like, always listen to your boss. Like, that was one of the lessons? I've had some dumb bosses, and I've had some nice bosses that you still don't always need to listen to. Like, that's a weird, for a kid show, that's a weird lesson.
It is.
So
maybe they're appealing to their adult audience.
Maybe. But yeah, they get back to base, and then boom, Grid Battle Force is calling.
Yes.
Awesome. And I knew, most of us knew, and the spoilers obviously, that Scrabble was coming back. Yeah. I didn't know what else we would see, and so we got to see the captain. What's her face?
Is it captain or
general.
Not general? There we go. I knew it wasn't commander anymore.
Yeah, because she got promoted, because Red got promoted. But he's out in the field, which is why she's making the call. That was cool. And I like that they had her come back. The footage of the actually, I wanted to show this, but I forgot it wasn't on screen. The footage of the Rangers they show fighting. Oh, I guess maybe that's later.
Yeah, I think
yeah, that's later. I was wondering if that was like unused footage we hadn't seen, because I didn't remember. They were fighting some monsters.
Footage. And
I couldn't remember if it was unused footage or just stock footage, but it was cool because I was thinking of it as a kid. As an adult, it's like, oh, did they bring the actors back? No, it's just footage. But as a kid, it's indistinguishable. oh, I keep on saying Go Busters. The Beast Morphers were on the show. It's the same as if you're watching Transformers and Starscream shows up. It's like if the voice actor doesn't talk, Starscream's still on screen, and that's kind of what this was like. So it was a small crossover, but again, putting myself in a kid's point of view, I'd be like, "That's amazing!"
Yeah, it definitely gave me like In Space vibes because it was a thing. It's like maybe this will be big later, but it was like here is us connecting the dots briefly.
They did a lot of that, which is either a lot of foreshadowing or a lot of fan service. But like that's the biggest one, obviously, having that actress come back and showing the stock footage. But throughout the show, they get into this the prisoner that escaped that is attacking the Dino Fury Rangers, and his name is
Locon.
It has something to do with him being pointy. It's like it's not Lothar, it's like Pointy Lothar is his name. So Pointy Lothar. And he says he's the nephew of Lothar, which is the villain, of course, from Ninja Storm, right?
That's what I thought, but I wasn't sure, and I didn't do my research before we recorded.
Oh, I didn't do my research either, and I don't think he was a character on Ninja Storm. I think this is them.
No. I know, but when he said he was the nephew, I thought it was Lothar, but I thought I heard it differently. So if you know definitively. Let us know in the comments because I didn't watch before.
No, I watched it and then I'm like, Big Dog, do you know? And he's like, no, do you? No. But I assumed that if it's not, that's weird because it seemed like they were making a point. He kind of looks like
making a point.
Yes. He kind of the way I like his design, by the way. I think he's really cool.
Yeah.
They kind of made a point. No, the way he looks reminds me of the big bad in Mighty Morphin, who was a Satan in Z Ranger. I forget what he was called in Mighty Morphin, but like the big floating head that was
yeah.
And I was like, what was his name? Maybe his name was like Lotor or something because it kind of looks like that. Because he says an evil wizard. So it's one of those two. Again, comments, let us know. But they're making a connection regardless and giving him a backstory, which is something we talk about a lot. Budget is a thing. We understand that. But writing can do a lot. Just saying he's connected. Okay, he's connected. Done. Great. And then he probably gets defeated and it doesn't matter,
The other thing I appreciated was when we talk about how big kind of the scope of the Ranger world is, they're like, oh, Grid Battle Force, all the way in city's name I forgot, where it's like you have different pockets of things going on, and that's fine.
Yes.
It's the same reason every Batman comic doesn't have the entire Justice League coming in to swoop in. Sometimes it's contained.
And they wisely keep it a little bit nebulous too. They're not like, oh, well, this team stopped operating at this year, or this team is in that. Like, there's been teams throughout history. Some are still operating, some are not. Some come out of retirement, some are in other dimensions. You never know, but Power Rangers are a thing, and everybody kind of knows it. And there we go. I just put this up to have because I don't know, just to have something to look at other than Yelp Face.
Yeah,
but
they start fighting him.
And go ahead.
The thing I liked about this is they use the different power-up armor, but they didn't spend way too long powering up every time.
Agreed. But what's funny is they did do the entire morph, where they did the whole call out and everything. And that made me think back to like, well, did they know this would be they'd coming back? Like they're coming back from an off season because it's sort of a reintroduction.
It feels that way.
Yeah, but then why start with the pop-up stuff? Like, I don't know. Like, even if you're going to have it in there, have it later. But so, yeah, I agree. They start fighting. But that does actually bring up, I like this villain. I think it's cool. I think he looks cool. I think, he does that thing where he's like, okay, I'm going to immediately take out a Ranger, boom, there you go. And they do the power-ups, like you said, and they do fire, and he's like extinguished, and they do lightning, and he's like grounded. And it's like, oh, he could like just counteract. That's like, I guess that's his power. He could like counteract whatever. He even does the what's the Ninja Fury Night mode? What's that one called? Like
Dino Night.
Dino Night. Does Dino Night, and he's like, well, I'll give you a Dino Night Fury and bonks him. And again, jumping ahead, what I don't like is that normally in an episode like this happens and they have to find a way to defeat him. They get a new power-up. They find out he has a weakness. You hit him in the back or something, or they find some crazy strategy to do it. Later on when they beat him, they just kind of beat him. They're just kind of like they go like, let's get him, and they kind of do, and they use a shield that somehow works, and then he's like, well, I'm going to gigantify, and it's like, why, what?
Going back to this current part, one thing I noticed, and this I don't think at all is foreshadowing, but I thought was good wordplay, was he's like Dino Night mode, Fury Unleashed, and I'm like, everything about that gave me hardcore deja vu to Jungle Fury of RJ. Jungle Beast Spirit Unleashed, and then they go and there's the big explosion. I'm like, I don't think these are going to be connected at all. No. But if they were, good on you.
Telling me we're going to have pizza tonight, and then we don't have pizza. That's a terrible trick. Don't even. It's not happening. No, I think the chances that past Rangers are coming back is very high.
Yes.
But I can't allow myself to believe it'll be Jungle Fury.
No, I don't think so at all. But it would be cool if it's like, we need to unleash the Fury again. Yeah, anyways. I'm getting you too excited for things that aren't going to happen.
It's not going to happen. But then as we spoke about before, her little proteges figured out, oh, Dino Henge, that's where Bigfoot is being sighted. And so they go there, and this is right after the fight. And then the pointy Lothar man is like, here I am. And so that's a good little thing.
The thing about it is that's kind of weird, kind of like you said, and mildly inconsistent is immediately they're like, oh, I think you're the Bigfoot that, people saw earlier. And he's like, why are you talking about my feet? And then they do these jokes and it's fine, whatever. But again, they go from like that to, okay, all these power-up modes aren't working to, I'm going to go destroy the source of your power to, and a Megazord fight. We kind of just win again.
Yeah. And like I said, they did some things right. Like there's nothing in this episode that I hated. Like absolutely hated. The pop-up stuff wasn't great, but again, I've seen much worse. So like there's nothing terribly offensive in this episode. And there's some really tantalizing tidbits of things to come. But as a whole, it was sort of like, okay, feels like a bridge to where we're going next. I hope we're going there soon, and I hope it's good because we're running out of episodes. Now, we all know there's going to be a season 3, Cosmic Fury, but it's also been said that this storyline ended, was wrapped up. Then they said, okay, we're going to do another season. So you can't say, well, maybe it'll come back season 3. Everything that's sort of been set up in the last season and a half, I expect to be paid off by the end of this season. If they failed on something and they pick up the slack in season 3, great. Right. But you shouldn't have to. You know what I mean? It is what I'm saying. I also think it's a failure of whatever security systems they have, that there is an alien firing energy bolts at their source of power statues. They don't notice it, but then someone calls them and they're like, oh, it's upstairs.
Wow. And again, this is an effects thing, but I would have liked if they like kind of looked at themselves and were like going in and out of morph almost of like something's up. And then they get the call and it's like, oh, like
yes,
anything.
Yeah. And it would have been, you know what it reminds me of? Of an earlier episode where they were trying to find the Zords and they came up with the invention of like this, when you're near the Zord, this will tell you you're near it. It's like, how does that help you find it? You have to be near it for it to work. That makes no sense.
Do a lot of walking around.
Yeah, it's the same as like, oh well, we have this detection system that only works if people call us. Like I don't know, just
they should have cross promoted with Pokemon Go and been like, maybe if you go to the right spot, the Zord will appear.
I did like this maneuver though, where when they started fighting him, knowing that they can't take care of him really quick, Zato jumps in. And then they all teleport away. I thought that was a cool maneuver to get him away.
Little bits like that were awesome. That was cool. Ion transforming midair into his strike. Really cool visually.
This was one of my favorite Ion episodes. I'll say that.
Yeah, because he wasn't a doofus.
Yeah, exactly. And the midair transformation. Yeah, Ion. This was one of my favorite Ion episodes. The banter and like the quippy one-liners were all fine. We've seen better this season. But they were fine. They were again, and that's what I keep coming back to. This episode was fine.
Yep.
In and of itself, it was fine. But where are we going? That's where we going.
Exactly. Yeah. But they have the fight. It's going all right. He decides to pull out MacGuffinizer Big O Giganto Meter Ray.
Again, not doing our research. Oh, I do like. He does this little dance. They're like, you were going to destroy the Dino statues, weren't you? Dino engines are surf power. And he's like, no, I was going to have a picnic and see. Of course I was. Like, but he's doing this little spin around dance. No, that's
a tea party.
Tea party. That's what it was. What he pulls out, and this is the fight that I don't like. And again, there's nothing wrong with the choreography or anything. It's just like there's no reason the fight should have went so well for him all of a sudden. Like nothing really changed. They use a shield
and also, sorry, I know they need to get away from Dino Henge. Why are you going to an area where people probably are?
Well, that's Sentai footage.
I don't think this was Sentai footage.
Really?
I think this was American.
They should have taken him to a quarry or something then.
I agree.
I do like the joke about who made a better insult between Ollie and Green Ranger. Izzy, yeah, about like, oh, he's a overgrown, puffer fish or something, or he's a porcupine or overflay. Like that was like, all right, whatever. It was fine, but it went on a little too long.
Hold on one sec. Sorry. Every time you're moving, you're rattling your mic into itself, and we're getting bad feedback on my end.
Thank you for telling me that. It's because of my stupid little pop thing. Is it okay now when I do this?
Yes.
Okay.
It's better.
It's better. I'll try not to do it, but this was hitting that. Okay.
Yeah, you were just speed bagging it.
Has that been the whole episode?
No, right now I just noticed.
Okay, good. Okay. Well, Ninja Steel to you.
Thank you.
But I did like, and I know I've complained about these aliens seeming to know every aspect of human history and stuff, but I've given up on that to a certain extent. And now I just want jokes that are funny. And this guy isn't a Sporks. We don't know where he's from. He's related to Lothar, so he might actually know about it. But she says something like she calls him a cactus. And he's like, your humor is weird and confusing. I'm not even a succulent. I liked that. I thought that was funny. And then she goes to step on her face and like, if you're going to do that sort of thing, that was funny. I like this character, and I think we'll see him again. Based on
I hope so.
I did enjoy this character.
That little like horn skull emblem thing he has, it reminded me a lot of the villains in Dino Charge. How they all had the little like masks things from the Sentai.
True. Yeah, that makes sense. Which is, this is a bit of a tangent, but I was thinking about how we're getting this third season, which might not be based on Sentai footage, depending on, and I'm thinking if it is Dino Fury Season 3 in terms of more or less keeping the same characters and suits, just changing them slightly and having like all new stuff, that's been done before. With Kyoryuger Brave, or what it was called.
Oh, yeah.
I think it was Korea wanted another season, and they did their own. And it was basically the same suits with a little more white and like the mechs repainted and stuff. And so I was like, wow, this is unprecedented. I'm like, well, no, it has happened at least once before. And it was another dinosaur theme. So that's kind of a cool something to look at. Like maybe that is what we will be getting, which would be a little disappointing, but I'm going to be happy whatever we get. I'm excited.
If they did the Dino Brave treatment to these suits, I'd be all about it.
Me too. Well, and I mean, I would like to see something more different and more new, but the fact that for the first time in a long time, certainly since the Neo Saban era, certainly since I've gotten back into Power Rangers as an adult, something unexpected and new will happen. We thought that was going to happen when Hasbro bought, but nothing really changed that much, if we're being honest. And so this is like, what is it going to be? It could be good. It could be bad. I think it's going to be good. It's just how good is it going to be?
Yeah.
I mean, it might just be more of the same, which is still good, But anyway, that was a side tangent. But yeah, this guy, I see what you're saying about that. We were talking before about when MacGuffin, he specifically says it's a gigantifier. It's like a pocket gigantifier, or I'm gonna, mini gigantifier. And I was like, gigantifier. And this is something I did look up because I'm like, that is a specific term.
Freezing, yeah.
And I feel like that is from Ninja Steel. And I looked it up, and it is from Ninja Steel.
Ninja Steel point to you.
Thank you. And because I wanted to bring this up in case, and I don't want to just guess, and it is something Cosmo Royale would say. Now, a couple things. We know that other villains are coming back for sure. We suspect other heroes are coming back, most likely. We know that voice actor Campbell Cooley, who currently does Slither and previously did Scrozzle, he's on this season as two characters already that we know of. He also did Cosmo Royale. Maybe Cosmo Royale is coming back. But the fact that he said Gigantify specifically, again, it could be just fan service connected in the universes. But remember earlier, Mick was on it from Ninja Steel.
Yeah.
And the Nexus, the Ninja Nexus. So there's a lot of Ninja Steel stuff going on. Maybe there's going to be some kind of big Ninja Steel thing happening later. I'm just saying.
We will have to see. I think that's a possibility. I think that would be cool. I feel like the call-outs were very pointed in this episode.
Yep.
And none really felt throwaway. The only one you could argue is the heritage of the monster, but even that I feel like is very specific.
I agree. And the next one comes a little bit late. Well, the other one I remember that comes a little bit later.
In the Megazord fight, yeah.
Yeah, when he gets knocked into space and he says, I can see Angel Grove from here.
Yeah.
Which is like, why would he know Angel Grove? Okay, because that's Mighty Morphin, but we know Zed's in it, so maybe it's just because Zed's in it, but you know they're mentioning Angel Grove specifically, so like
the headcanon I have, since he was captured by Grid Battle Force, I have a feeling all of the monsters have talked with all other monsters, and it's this big thing where it's like, oh, I fought the Lightspeed Rescue Rangers, and they got me here, and like there's all this like knowledge that's shared through the monsters, and maybe that's a thing where, you know,
I agree, and that is, even if that's not what they thought, it's perfectly good headcanon that tracks. Also, when we see later that like, well, who released them, and they sent this guy after you specifically, and they wanted to free Scrozzle specifically. And then they showed that it was Zed who did it, which, you know, I mean, we knew this, but like, I was so mad if Zed didn't come back. So I'm glad he did. And I'm feeling like, you know, Sinister Six vibes, or, you know, like let's, you know, or like what was the one with Batman where everybody teamed up, where it's just like, you know, none of us could do it alone. Let's all team up together. And like,
there's Hush.
Kind of Hush. Yeah. But there was another one too, where it was like the trial. Anyway, anytime all the villains say, hey, you know what, let's get together and do, or this is a really old pull. But there was a Marvel thing called Acts of Vengeance, which is a terrible title, but it was a crossover. And the whole idea was like, I'll fight your villain, you fight my villain. They all know how we work. We're going to, you know, and I could see that too. We're like, okay, Scrozzle, you fight the Dino Fury Rangers. And then Slither, you go and get the Ninja Steel Rangers. And like, you know, like the Criss Cross, you know, Criss Cross, Danny DeVito, Billy Crystal, and throw Mama from the train.
It's funny you were doing deep Marvel pulls. The thing I was thinking similar but different was, there was a run called New Avengers like 15 years ago now, where random villains broke other villains out of prison. We didn't know why, but in that, at the time, the Avengers weren't a team, so whatever heroes were kind of there came together and then became a new Avengers team. And Spider-Man was finally an Avenger, and he hadn't been an Avenger, and Wolverine came in and like all this stuff where it's like kind of like this, where it's like we have our team, and it's like, oh, hey, you know, they were busy, so Ravi from Grid Battle Force is here, and oh my gosh, I can't believe this. I came back down to Earth, and I'm the Red Ninja Steel, and like all this stuff, and it's kind of like Dimensions in Danger, but like more of an arc.
Yes, exactly that. I was going to say, and it's like Dimensions in Danger, it's pulling from random places, but with more of a reason than just like, oh, these are the Rangers that are captured and happen to be here. Like,
hey, look who we found who decided to come to New Zealand for this episode.
Yeah, maybe they get a line.
Yeah, exactly.
That would be great. That would be great. And this, you know, said it before, like we're setting up to like next year, season 3 is the anniversary season. But like if it's all connected, this could have been the last season. Like that's the problem. We don't know what's going. Like so, like this feels to me like a send off / anniversary season, even if it technically isn't. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The vibe I'm getting from this episode, and I'm hoping, knock on wood, it doesn't disappoint, and I'm sure it's the same for you, is they thought, and that's why I said this is in space vibes, they thought this was it.
Yes.
So they pulled out the stops, and then it was so good, they went, by the way, make more, and it's like, all right, here we go.
Well, and the one thing I had previously talked about, the speculation that other people made, that the Cosmic Fury was kind of a last-minute thing because other projects weren't ready to go and they wanted to have something for the 30th anniversary. That still might have some truth to it. But Simon Bennett and a few other people, including some of the actors, were like, no, we knew a while ago that we were going to be doing this. Not when they were filming season 2, but, you know, not like last week or something. So it could still be that maybe 6 months ago they're like, oh, you know what? I don't think we're going to be ready. But, like, yeah, I hope they said this is so good we're going to do more.
Yeah.
I hope you are right. I hope you're right. And it's more likely that you're right based on them saying that.
And it seems like the timeline that we heard through the Morphicon panel is, I think that when this had season 1 on Netflix, it did so well, partially because of COVID, that it was like, wow, this was really good. Let's do this again. And then that kind of got the dominoes rolling for the continuation.
Yeah. And going back to Gold, there was another good moment in the Megazord fight I was trying to find, but basically he jumps out of the way of the blast and they kind of hold the blast and they're like, we set him up for you. And he's like, bah, you know, so just a cool little bit of strategy with the Megazords, which you rarely see. Yes.
You know what I just thought of?
What?
In line with everything we just said, every call out has one very specific out of show thing in common. Do you know what it is?
Mighty Morphin is original Saban. Ninja Storm is Disney. Ninja Steel is Neo Saban. And Beast Morphers is Hasbro. One from each era?
So Ninja Storm is the only misnomer, but everything else happens to be on Netflix.
I like my theory better. That it's one from each major era of
I think Ninja Storm, since it's just that one line, I'm not counting, just as a whole for Dino Fury. Right. That's the only thing that like hasn't fallen in line. But I think that they are putting together everything to make you want to go back and watch all the seasons on Netflix.
Maybe so. I mean, if those characters show up, then for sure. Yeah. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. The Ninja Steel Rangers haven't done, with the exception of William Schufelt, haven't done a ton of conventions and stuff and appearances since they were off the show.
Not true. Blue has.
Blue has. Okay. Pink was supposed to be at a Ranger stop, but then she canceled. And I'm not saying they're absolutely not, but like it's not like they're super present. So I'm wondering who would come back if they did. I mean, you would expect William Schufelt to be the obvious one because he's like red and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, whatever. We'll see. We'll see. It's a good point. It's a good point.
Thank you.
And then I thought we were going to end on this. We didn't. This is like, oh, okay, here's part 2 that I like less than part 1. Not the worst in the world. There is a weird editing thing here where she's right next to me. He's like, get out of the way.
And then not.
And she's like gone. And then she's back in the next second. It's kind of dumb, but it's, we've seen worse.
It's very dumb.
Yeah. The pie. I forgot about the pie. They had to add a pie on top of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Everything about this I didn't like and is what we complain about. And then after this, again, they do something awesome that they rarely do. I'm like, who is in this writer's room? Who's doing this?
First, before we get the Zed thing, they finally kind of touch back on her parents and how she's into all these mysteries, Amelia, all these mysteries because her parents are missing and there was like a fire and Pop won't talk about it, which, we've talked about and other people have talked about the idea that maybe Void Knight and What's-Her-Face are her parents maybe, which would explain like if they had to leave the planet or if they were attacked or something. Maybe Pop-Pop's not even related to her. Maybe he's just a kindly old guy that took her in or, who knows. But then back to Grid Battle Force. Oh, this is where I think they show the stock footage.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder, look at this. Do you think, hold on. Do you think they rebuilt the set for her? Or do you think that's just
that's green screen 100%.
That's like a Zoom call. And then that goes and they're like, oh, the same person who choreographed this whole thing. And they're like, who? And they show Zed, which I'm having trouble getting to land on. But yeah, and it almost makes me wish we didn't see Zed in that other episode. Like, I understand they did that to like show us how he came back and everything and kind of tease it. But like,
this would have hit so much harder if we didn't know that.
And the way he's just like on a security footage, I can't get it light on the image, but the way it's just like security cam footage and he blasts it. It has there we go. It has more of like a horror movie. Like, here comes Jason. Like, oh my God. So people who didn't like, viewers and children who didn't know who he was, like, who's this creepy guy? We don't know who this is. This is scary. And like, and people who did be like, oh, so maybe even like when people talk about Star Wars doing like machete style, like do 1 and 2 and then go back and watch part 1 and there's like a flashback. I would almost say like, it'd be better if we had this. And then the next episode was like, 6 months ago and you see how he came back and whatever. And maybe doesn't even run into the Rangers. It's just like all him fighting villains and whatever. He can't change the past, but this was awesome. Yes.
So I have 2 questions for you. Going back a little bit. For Amelia's parents, do you think it is Void Knight and Void Queen? Yes or no?
I think that's the best theory. I think it's likely. If it's
I'm going to go with no.
You're going to go with no. If it's not, then I don't understand like what the point is. Like if they, let me put it this way: if they turn out to be regular people, then it's like, why would we make this such a big deal? If it turns out, the only other thing I could think is like if they're like the Morphin Masters, that's dumb, and I don't want to see that.
Yeah, I don't think so.
What, you have a theory, or you just don't think it's
my second question? I don't think it's them. I think the thing that we haven't fully figured out is how old Void Knight is.
I mean, in human years, or he's an alien, so I mean, he looks.
Well, no, because Zato knows a Void Knight, but is it because Void Knight is doing stuff now, or because he knew him from RAFCON? And is Void Knight from RAFCON? Like all these things, we don't have hard confirmations on. So I don't know if Void Knight's also crazy old, or just like currently has possession of the Dino stuff.
Right. Well, okay. What about this? The body of Void Knight is the body of Amelia's father, but
could be
possessing like.
I would be okay with those things being like the yes for that.
Yeah.
I think though that her parents, I wanted them to be Rangers. I don't think they are.
I don't think they're gonna be.
But I think it could be a thing similar to Tyler's dad in Dino Charge, where it's like looking for something Ranger related and then something bad happening.
Sure. Yeah. But going back to the age thing, regardless of how old Void Knight is, based on the actor, he could be her father.
Yes, absolutely.
Like, yeah. So like that, I don't see a problem with that. The very last thing, which I had forgotten, Ion says when the Nexus, again, bringing it back to Ninja Steel, woke me up, it said that I would be the key to defeating Lord Zed.
He said the Morphin Master who woke him up.
You're right. He did say that, Ninja Steel to you.
Thank you.
Yes, you're absolutely right. Which is like, okay, I mean, he's not the one I would pick to lead this battle, but you know, he did good this episode. Maybe he's, you know, maybe the writers / the actors / whoever's in charge has kind of got a handle on him now for when he fights Zed.
So I will say the gripe I had from the preview from episode like 14 or 15, I now don't have the same gripe about.
Did we watch that? Did I watch that with you? I don't remember.
Yeah, it was a little clip. For those who don't want to know,
oh yeah, okay,
ignore me. But we find out the Skrulls and Lord Zed are together.
Yes.
And the Rangers find out. Yeah, and then Ion comes in, he goes, I'm going to take care of him, and then jumps in and it cuts. Yeah. Where I'm like, okay, you have at least set it up. Yes. So he's not, is it smart? You're no. Right. Is there a reason? Okay.
Yeah, I forgot. That was the preview from MorphCon. I thought you meant like a trailer. But yeah, it was a clip from the episode they released from MorphCon, and he jumps in like an idiot. But you're right. If he's been told, hey, you're the chosen one that has to beat Zed, he's like, all right, you're right. I'll Ninja Steel for that. I will go with you. That makes sense. So, okay, so I'm feeling a little more positive about that. But yeah, overall, I liked this episode. I didn't have any real problems with it, but it was just a lot of like, what's going to happen then? Which I guess is its job, and that way it's successful. But we better be going somewhere then. You know, we're running out of road here. You're giving it a C+?
Yep. I'm
giving it a conditional B. If things go well later on, it might even go up to a B+. If things don't go well, it's going to go down to a C+ or a C-, you know, because it's all very dependent on what comes next.
I would be in the same place as you if it wasn't brought down by the bad physical comedy.
Maybe I'm getting inured to it because my tolerance is higher, because there's been so much bad that this wasn't even in the top 10 of this season. You know,
it's just a thing. It was so unnecessary where everything else is hitting so specific, so right. Everything we've talked about where it's like, you literally don't need it anymore. Like,
here's what they don't need it. And this is a formula that somebody somewhere on Power Rangers, and not just this season, but a lot of them. I mean, it gets going back to Mighty Morphin, but that's the thing. We always talk about like, yeah, but Bulk and Skull, it was the 90s. It was like, I don't know. It's like grow, you know, but somebody somewhere likes the idea of introducing a goofy comedic situation in the beginning of the episode and then again paying it off. Now, in a comedy show, like where it's actual comedy, that makes sense. You want to like, but it's not a comedy show. It's an action adventure show that has slight comedic elements. You had the pop stuff in the beginning, fine. It kind of forwarded the plot a little bit, and he made some dumb jokes, whatever. We didn't need to come back to it. It didn't forward the plot at all, and it was a worse joke. And they do that a lot, where they'll be like, oh, that was kind of a dumb joke. And then at the end, like, remember that dumb joke? Here it is on times 10. And they're like, okay. But regardless, I'm happy I got to see a new episode. I'm more excited for the next episode, although I'm trying to temper my expectations because I feel like it's going to be just
another setup
episode instead of like ramping up. I look forward to being wrong. And thank you again to a friend of the show that sent us this file, and now we got to go hunting for the next one because it's already out. And unfortunately, we're probably going to be having to watch all of these not the proper way because otherwise spoilers and everything else. But the plan is to be back next week with the next episode. That is the plan.
Yeah, we're going to do our best. I know everything drops at the end of this month, at the end of September on Netflix. So worst case, we can see it there. We haven't kind of figured out the logistics of how we're going to watch and review it. It might be a thing where, unlike what you guys might be used to, where we watch it and then talk about, we might watch a bunch and then talk about it retroactively so we don't get spoiled. So
we'll see. Yeah. But next week will be next episode. That is the plan. After that, we're not sure. Subscribe if you haven't, win some stuff, comment on the video about the thing, about the thing. You know what I mean? I'm tired, but I have been Gazbot.
I am still the big dog. And to add on what he said, as we said at the beginning, we posted a ton of stuff over the last 2 weeks. If you haven't caught up on the Morphicon stuff, feel free to go there. If you want to see us be goofy in person, go there. And if you just want to watch old videos because you know what, you realize you haven't watched the first 12 episodes of Dino Fury Season 2, go back to our other reviews. Still the big dog and
To the power.
See you guys later.
End credits.
I just realized we haven't done end credits in a while.
We haven't done opening credits in a while.
That's true.
Getting it out there, like somebody was asking me about like what episode are you on or how many have you done? Like I don't know the count at all because what counts as an episode? Like they're all action activate, but if like you and me did the in-person review of the figure, is that an episode? Does it only count if we have the credits? What about interviews? Like I have no idea.
I'd say in the hundreds.
I think that's fair. And for those of you that don't know, this is a new channel. Gazbot is me. It used to be on my personal channel, and I made its own channel. And there's a link below to like all of our old content and interviews. So we've been doing this for years. So yes, there are hundreds and hundreds of episodes.
But subscribe here and then subscribe to Gazbot.
Yeah. All right. See you later.